Girls, it's Peps, it's Jdog, and we're bringing you the round 19 review for a massive, groundbreaking, all-inspiring round of football. How can you not be excited? Well, I'm on the right side of the screen this week. Jdog's back in his usual home on the right. We're all looking good. We've got a cracking show for everybody. We'd love to hear how everybody went. Jdog, great to have you on board. How did you see the footy? Most importantly, as we always start, how are you going?
I see the footy sitting in my room on my big screen and about 2.5 meters away from it. I've got my theatre room, and it's a great place to spend a Saturday and Sunday and Friday night watching football.
Oh, it's a great. How good was footy? Footy is just in a great spot, according to Andrew Dillon and Laura Kane, which I'll get into very, very shortly. Hey, but everybody who's joining us live, thank you very, very much. If you haven't liked or subscribed, make sure you ring the bell. Tell everybody about us. Also, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, don't be afraid to join us live on the show, because remember, if you're part of the show, just ask us a question, anything you like, and you're just as important to us as the two of us are to each other. Big Dog, lots to get into, but before I do, I want a little shout out. I ran into one of our fans on the weekend.
Did you? At
the footy, little Oscar. He goes, I was at the footy watching East Keilor versus Avondale Heights at the beautiful Canning Reserve. Geez, I killed it for many, many years on the wing out there. But shocking day of football, raining, cold, lost my credit card, everything. It was just one of those days. And he looks at me and goes, I know you. I go, okay, yeah, where from? He goes, yeah, does my dad know you? I said, yeah, my dad knows you. He goes, you're the podcast guy. You're with the bald guy. I said, yeah, that's me. He goes, oh, yeah, Dad's on the thing with you all the time. I said, Oscar, I'll give you a shout out on the weekend. So, little Oscar, thank you we've got supporters everywhere around our beautiful country of ours too. So, little man, great to have you watching. You are going to be an absolute gun for the Cougars, and hope you get close to my 377 games for the EKFC, my friend. So, thanks for watching. But if you haven't, if you want to donate us a couple of bucks as well too, just ask Dad for a 20, and we'll take that as well. How good's that? Hey, it's already coming in. Buzz is here. Look at this. His first cab off the rank. Dylan and Kane can get stuffed. He's hit back. That must mean that St Kilda had a win. So do you reckon, before I get into the ladder, I'll ask you how your weekend was. How'd you see the footy?
Peps, my weekend was actually pretty well. It's just come to light, Peps, with me, if I can just be honest with you for a second. Mm-hmm. It's just come to light for me that someone told me that you look awfully like someone else.
Okay.
And
Paul Whirling, the fishing guy?
No.
No.
No. Someone said that you look like someone else, but you said that you look like you look like this person but you're a version of them similar to when you pull and dry out a cotton shirt from when you washed it.
Okay.
So you can imagine when you pull a cotton shirt out, what that looks like.
Yeah.
When you're drying it, air drying it. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone said that you look like this person. They said you've got a bit of the look of the old Johnny Sectors about you, mate. They said you're just a little bit less wrinkly, but they've said you've got the Johnny Sectors about you. And I said, well, I can guarantee you Peps is just as connected and just as dodgy. Dodgy.
I've got as many dodgy connections as the PowerPoint boards underneath my desk right now.
Well, I'm just saying this hit my personal inbox saying you need to address these rumors that you're not talking to AKA Peps, AKA John Sector.
Let's just say I've got no pull on any work site whatsoever. Actually, they kick me off because they look at my hands and go, they're not workmen's hands whatsoever. But whoever pulled that one out, thank you very, very much. I appreciate the kind words. We might have to put a link into the chat for anybody around the world who has no idea who Johnny Sepkus is. Hey, would that take that? I would not take that from Skeletor, Peps. Hawkins. Oh, I love you. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Can you just look down the camera and just give a bit of a wrinkle face for us? Oh, that's John. I'm talking to. Do you want to change your name from Peps to JS?
Johnny Sepkus. Hey, couple of things as well too. Caught up with Lee Ali on the weekend. Awesome. CMFEU. We're going to keep politics out of it, but we thank you for it. And by the way, Jaden Stevenson's dad's also stepping in for Jamie tonight as well too. So, hey, footy on the weekend. Let me go through the ladder. And then we'll go really highlight the games because there were some absolute crackers on the weekend. I want to get on top because that's where I like to be. Rightio. Sydney, another loss. Are you starting to worry about the Swans at the moment, Jdog, or was it just simply that was game of the weekend when you look at Sydney versus Brisbane? Game of the year, you could almost go as far as saying.
I'd probably say it is. They come up against the hottest team of the AFL probably last 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, it's like it's like a jalapeno versus a devil's chili. Like they're just both so hot at the moment, but one has to have more hotter than hot.
What was it? 2 points?
It was, I think, 2 points. You're not going to really worry about that, but there was something to come out of that game which I'm a bit concerned about, and I can't believe it got away. Carlton, geez, I think every man his dog was praying North would win that, and due to some dodgy umpiring again in a Carlton game, momentum swung their way. Brisbane, fantastic. Like you picked this many, many months ago that they are going to be awesome. And I laughed in your face, and now I'm taking everything back. You are 100% on the money. They're coming hard to the point that I know a lot of people are saying Sydney-Brisbane grand final. I'd even go as far to say Brisbane versus someone else potentially.
Oh,
yeah. Carlton, I got to worry. I think Carlton are done with Tom de Koning going down for the remainder of the year. He's not playing. He's going to be in some trouble. So I know Pitnet's coming in, but he's got some spunk about him that Pitnet can't replace. So I'm wondering. I don't think they can do it. Fremantle smashed my mob, but they're on 46 points. You've got 3 teams on 44. GWS, Geelong, even with their loss to the Doggies, it was actually a smashing more than anything. And Port Adelaide, well, you just did what you had to do over there. Essendon, my goodness, talking about just hanging on by the skin of they could do a Bradbury. They could come home from 8th and still make finals after, being, well, actually, no, they can't because Bradbury was never in front. Yeah, they're struggling. Bulldogs, I think they'll be the team that replaces Essendon. Melbourne, forget about them. Hawthorn, they are coming home strong. They've got a percentage now that is starting to creep up over the hundreds, which is what they need. And so, I reckon there's some spunk about them. I'd love to see them win. I reckon, and I'll say this, I think a Hawthorn team would be better than having Essendon or Port Adelaide in there. I'd love to hear your opinion on that, based on the form that they're showing. Gold Coast, did they play away? Yes, they lost. Collingwood, they're done. Crows, great win over Essendon. What a game that was back and forth. St Kilda, good to see them get a win as well too. I think I picked Membry kicking a few on the weekend, and he did, which was awesome. West Coast, North. Geez, North's last 6-7 weeks have just been magnificent. And Richmond, well, I would never have thought that Richmond would go from winning a flag in 2020 to being 4 years later bottom of the ladder. That just shows how quick you can go down and how quick you can go up too. So even though we still got 5 rounds, I did say that the final 8 was locked in last week, but just the way that results are going, I think this might even come down to especially for those last 3 spots, it'll come down to top 4, bottom part of that last round. I thought it was locked in a week ago. It just goes to show you how many teams lose, how quickly it can change around.
Yeah, I think I think the loss. I think the Bulldogs Geelong game was the biggest loss of the week because it just literally brought the Cats back down into the run.
Yep.
But Peps, honestly, I know you're one for declarations early.
Yeah,
you declared 8 early.
Yep.
Honestly, if you're having a reflection and looking at the games potentially coming up, not that you've had a huge look, but I know you've had a scan. Where do you think the ladder is still currently live to for the teams? Be honest. Be genuine, Peps.
Hawthorn. I'm willing to go as far as my mob are out.
So you're saying down to 12?
Because we'd be just making up a number. Yeah, I reckon Melbourne won, so I'm willing to go as far as Melbourne are out. I reckon the Hawks are still in there. I still think definitely the Bulldogs and then above. Even top 4's not locked in at the moment. Like that's still got up and downs. So it's just, I think the first 3 spots are locked in. It's that last one, which is Fremantle. It's almost like who wants it? Is it Geelong or is it going to be Fremantle to take it? So I really do hope the Doggies squeeze in. I really do hope that Hawthorn squeeze in. They're just playing too good of footy at the moment. You want form teams making it.
I'm not prepared to just write a team off just yet, down to 13th. I'm not prepared to.
It's okay. I'll go the early pro and I will say that we're done. We'll come out and beat GWS this week, and I'll be back, baby.
You did go actually pretty hard on your So it's probably top 5 of your post Melbourne analysis on your Facebook site.
Yeah, I got a bit of backlash from a few Melbourne supporters about that. They reckon it was one of my worst ever. That's
but worst but best though.
Well, no, worse. Like you're a flog, you're a knob. Like, okay, fair enough. You know, like my singing.
Where'd you post it? Where'd you share it? Just on your personal or on others?
Personal and one of the Melbourne pages. And then I think I took it down. Quick analysis, quick roundabout of the games of the weekend, how I saw it, and then we'll get in some hard-hitting topics. I'd love to hear him. That Friday night game was an absolute corker, Essendon and Adelaide. You'd think that it was a pretty even first quarter. Once again, I think Essendon had that game in their control and just couldn't convert in front of goals again. Adelaide come out, get 36 points up. Essendon come back and dominate. And then it gets down to a Josh Rochelle, I'll hug somebody, and where's this one going to be? It was a great win. Essendon supporters, like if they weren't pulling their hair out last week, they'd be down to a few strands. They'd be Norman Gunstoning, I reckon, by.
That'd be me. That'd be me.
Oh, Jody, they're already you. They'll be going eyelashes soon and eyebrows. That's how bad they're going. Giants, Suns, look, Suns were away. So that was a pretty much given as well too. But Jesse Hogan, crikey, I wish I had him at the D's at the moment, but he's just doing his thing. And the Suns, like, they only got themselves. I've got to find this stat out, and hopefully I'll be able to get it. When was the last time a team won every game at home and lost every game away? I want to find that one out. St Kilda, great win at Marvel Stadium. Tim Membry, magnificent. We're happy to see him kick a handful, a 5. West Coast, the honeymoon period from last week is officially over, and back to reality. Great win by the Hawks. Where do you want to go with this one, Jdog? Was this the surprise of the weekend, or I did pick Hawthorn to win. I just didn't think they'd win by 11 goals.
It got to about 26 points, and I'm like, I had to like just a reality check myself. I'm like, hang on, this game could be a hungy by the end of this game.
Yeah, and you just see what Ginnivan did, and you see the way that they play. It's just like they're almost just free. Just play footy, boys. We've got rules, but play footy. I love it, and I'd love to see what they would do in an elimination final. Like, I'd really like them to see it. Like, there's some clubs you go, I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them. Doggies smashed Geelong. I thought Geelong would have this one, but you know, you talk about the game before. This was even more of an impressive result for just how they dominated, and it was Ugle-Hagan again. Like, I didn't give him a smack last week. I just thought, just taper it in a bit. Was I wrong?
He made you look like a bozo again.
Made me look like a bozo, but it's Wakeman, it's Norton, it's like Rory Lobb was on the chopping block to go somewhere. They've thrown him down back, and he's looking like David Dench down there. Like he's
like Cameron.
Oh, he's had victims over the last number of weeks. It's just where's he been? I think even he changed his hair color. That's how serious he's taking it. Like he's gone to brown. He's not that blonde bombshell anymore. So
back to serious,
Rory.
Back to
serious footballer. Exactly right. Port Adelaide versus Richmond. I must admit I didn't see this one, so I'll get your opinion. What you saw? Were you happy? A win's a win.
18th versus somewhere in the top 8. You expected to got, you got, and we got.
It was the win that you had to have.
Pretty much.
We said this probably the game of the season. Went down to the wire. 2 points to Brisbane. They are on a roll. If you have a look at how they're progressed since the bye, it's been from the 14th all the way up to 3rd. They have just skyrocketed. He's just immense. Fremantle smashed Melbourne. That result is actually flattering by 50 points. So at one stage, we didn't have a clearance for an entire quarter. That is how bad we were going. Their midfield just runs. I don't know whether they can have that defensive run and gun. It could stand up in finals. It may not stand up in finals. I'm not super convinced just yet. But if they do, mind you, when you go against a team that doesn't have any ruckman and you've got 2 ruckmen, they're going to get smashed. So, Melbourne got what they deserved. I think Van Rooyen up front, Petty showed a bit as well too. But when you got Brayshaw and Sarong, at one stage they had like 42 possessions by half time. It was a stupid amount that they had on a string. They had their own ball.
Didn't Jackson play for Melbourne?
Yes.
And then didn't you get rid of Jackson?
He wanted to go back to Perth.
And then didn't you recruit another ruckman?
Yes, we did.
And then where's that ruckman?
Are we signing for a bag of chips up to Sydney?
So then how many ruckmen do you have in your list at the moment, Peps?
We've got one. He's injured, but he'll be back this week. But apparently we've got ruckman, but they just aren't classified as ruckman because they don't get enough hit-outs in the VFL.
So then when you have a team that has been spoken about how good their dual ruckman setup is for the past 5 weeks, what did your team do?
We played the full forward and the other forward as ruckman. We thought we could do what we did last week. The issue was it didn't rain and the midfield didn't turn up.
Well, maybe Ken and Goodwin are swapping notes. Maybe. I'm just saying. I'm trying to get conspiracy, but I think we're swapping notes.
I've never known who's on that headset. They could be. They could be. And Carlton versus North Melbourne, like I was cheering home North, and then just some dodgy. There was a free kick that was missed for a dropping the ball right in front of goal for North that would have put them in front, and then it goes up the other end, throwing the ball. They can't hear it when there's 40,000 people screaming, and he's just like, "Yep." So,
no, they pissed me off. They pissed me off, North.
Why?
They pissed me right off.
Why is that?
Oh, they were 15 points up, 20 points up.
Yep.
And they just got rolled by 30 in the end.
No,
pissed me off.
No, they got done by 19, but they're a gun. But they've got a future. They're still missing a bit, but seriously, they're in such a better position. Look, they're going better than these right now. They're going better than Richmond. They're going better than probably Collingwood right now. They're going better than West Coast right now. They're going better than St Kilda won, but you'd almost say that their form's been better than. So they're going all right. But
you're very kind. You're very kind to them.
Well, they've been smashed. Like, goodness gracious! Like, give them a bit of love once in a while.
You called for them to be merged.
I still do. They can merge with St Kilda. All right. Big man.
Me. You talking to me? Talking to someone else?
I'm talking to you right now.
Okay.
Jdog, are we idiots? Are we idiots? And I mean
yes.
this. Well, okay, all right, we're idiots.
Yeah.
But do you think our viewers, our listeners, the general football public out there are idiots?
Absolutely, they are.
Okay. Because I think that the AFL are treating us like absolute idiots at the moment, and I have to get something off my chest. I know this is not an umpiring thing. It's just the way that things have happened over the last couple of weeks that have just got me infuriated with the way that I just see football right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's been little spot fires going out through the entire season, suspensions. We know about the tackling. We know all about those bits and pieces, but we know it all sort of really ramped its way up after the Essendon Geelong game when there was those deliberate rush behinds. There was ones for insufficient intent, non-dropping the balls, etc. That week, Andrew Dillon came out and said that the game or the umpiring is as good as it's ever been. And at that stage, there was a collective spray of food and beverages out of football followers' mouths around the state, around the country, because that is an absolute crock of shit. It isn't in the best position it's been in. And when you have a look at some of the things that we've seen, some of the challenges that we've had with umpiring this year, it's far from it. 4 umpires, it's just not working, etc. But you know what? They said it's in the best position ever. We sort of went, no, don't agree. All right, we'll move on. Less than 2 weeks later, and Mr. Jamie Wallace, Toby Bedford and Charlie Cameron get suspended for tackles. 2 different types of tackles. One was classified by a lot of people who watch this show, listen, and in the football public, and Toby Bedford as almost the perfect tackle. Charlie Cameron went backwards, bit of a different one, but the Toby Bedford one was almost damned to be a perfect tackle. Free kick was paid, dropping the ball. Could not ask for anything more than that.
No report on the night.
No report on the night, nothing. Goes to the MRO go because he came out with a concussion. My friend, you are going to the tribunal. We know what happened. He got 3 weeks. They appealed it. Both of them got off. Both got to play in victories over the weekend. But on Friday night, Jamie, I put on the radio or the wireless for the elder statesmen out there and elder stateswomen. Put the wireless on to listen to Laura Kane and her explanations about the game of football. And there was a lot of contention brought up about the tackling side of things. Is the fabric of the game dead? Is the way that this is the future going to be turning into Gaelic football? Where is this all going? Is litigation causing it all, etc.? And she says that yes, the paramount of our game right now for us is the health and safety of the players. And based on them getting a concussion, that was the reason. And they go, but is the tackle dead? And she came out with this statistic that there's been 18,508 tackles, yet only 7 of them have resulted in a suspension. And there was an extra 2 that got thrown out, which was the Bedford and the Cameron one.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the only tackles, when I talk about the 7, that had a concussion in them. And so to come out and say that 99% of the tackles that we've had so far this year are safe is the biggest furphy, biggest red herring, biggest crock of shit that I heard. Once again, I almost had another spit my drink out moment, because, Jamie, the only reason why there hasn't been more is because the player did not come out concussed. We see hundreds of tackles a game, hundreds of tackles a weekend, where that same action is delivered, but because one person's head hits the ground and another one doesn't hit the ground, is the difference between 0, nothing, and a person getting 3 weeks off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it gets even worse for them to come out and say that, you know what, it's in a good spot. Health and safety is paramount. That's what we're concerned about. Well, then can you answer this one for me then? If the health and safety of the players is exactly what we're looking at, how do they then go ahead and say, well, Christian Petrarca's not playing for the rest of the year because a player jumped in with his knee, ruptured his spleen, broke some ribs, is not playing for the rest of the season? Should that have been investigated? Because, it's all about the health and safety of the players. But you can also have a legitimate tackle getting 3 weeks. Yet you could be a Gold Coast Suns player, run past an opponent, throw an elbow into the side of someone's head and get a week. Or you can gut punch or rabbit punch someone in the vicinity of a ball up and get nothing, a fine. Or, taking it even worse, you could be Eric Hipwood and tunnel Nick Blakey where he could potentially fall on his neck and cause a lot of damage and not even get cited. It's beyond a joke, and that's going to lead into another topic that we're going to get into very shortly about the feel for the game, because there was a survey completed about that, 4,000 people getting into it, and they're just a little bit fed up with it as well too. But where are we going where we're hearing one thing, we're seeing something else, the result is completely insufficient, we're all scratching our heads, yet the leaders who are supposed to have their finger on the pulse are completely blindsided or ignorant to what's going on. And then coming out, instead of saying that, yes, we've got it wrong, or yes, it needs to be fixed, just, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. I think the AFL really needs to stop treating us, the football public, the people that put our money over every single week, as idiots. It has to stop, because I'll tell you what, there's 2 people at the moment who are looking like idiots. Usually it's us 2. But Laura Kane and Andrew Dillon, you are looking like idiots at the moment in the eyes of the general football public.
I like it. It is compelling when you say it like that, in terms of the tackles, the statistics, the incidents that you've called out. And I think I heard Dwayne Russell last week say something that I thought, why don't we go back to this? Which is essentially having people who watch the game, have played the game, have a feel for the game. If it doesn't feel like a reportable incident, then why, don't present it. Don't present it. If it doesn't feel like a football, it doesn't feel like something, then it shouldn't be. If it feels like it, then run it through your matrix. But don't go slapping blokes with 3 weeks for this and 4 weeks for that because they got a concussion, because they got this.
Yep.
Don't put the fine up just because it may look bad without actually having it pass a sniff test, like you said.
Well, Jamie, you can be, and I've forgotten their name, so I should have had this prepared, but now that you brought it up, you can get fined for the third or fourth time this season and still can play. So
Zach Butters is one of
Zach
them.
Butters, there you go. So Zach Butters, who
$36,000 in fines
this year.
I don't know if it's this year or career, but $36,000. That's a price of a car.
That's loose change for him. That's under his couch. But the thing is that he can continually do it, gets let off, and these guys who are doing the right thing, they're getting weeks, and it's just not right. And then when Laura Kane comes out and says, that's what the matrix works out. Well, that's the problem with the matrix is that you've got to fit it into boxes, and the way the boxes is that if it fits into tackle, head concussion, it has to go to the tribunal, which is a minimum of 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks or nothing. There is no 1 week. If people are being told, well, look, we're going to give them a week, it might have passed. But a lot of people go, no, that can't be.
It goes back to what your thing said, Peps. It goes back to what you said is, watch these clips at speed and tell me if you think that they're reportable. That's the first banding. That's the first banding to work it out.
You should not be able to do it. Yeah, they should not be able to watch the matter
if you watch it and you go, okay, that's a report. That looks like a reportable offense. I'm going to put that now through the matrix, which is your high intentional, whatever the outcome. But if you're watching it at full speed and if it doesn't feel like it is a reportable offense, then that's it. It gets left on game day and we don't touch it.
Yep. And this is not an easy solution because they tried to do it in such a way because we had the tribunal. Someone would watch it. That's 3 weeks. That's 2 weeks. The reason why they brought the matrix in was because to get some consistency, make it easy.
I don't mind a matrix.
Okay. But there's no flexibility in the matrix because it's either, severe, impact severe, light, whatever it might be, low, medium, or high. It doesn't work like that. Like a concussion is a concussion. And so, but I think that there has to be a little bit of leeway into this because they're grading the wrong things and people are getting done for the wrong things. Nudenut has joined us and Nudenut said it perfectly. We're correct. Is it the action or the result? It is all about the action. The result is nothing at the moment. It's all about the result. Action doesn't matter. Like I said, you can throw an elbow at someone. You can rabbit punch someone. You could be Isaac Heaney. He throws an arm back to try and swipe someone away and gets a week for that. But you can a deliberate rabbit punch into someone's guts and you don't get anything. It's not right. It's ruining the game. And unfortunately, it's all about the legal side of things because if something happens 5-10 years down the track, the AFL have to be seen to be putting in some sort of reasonable measures to stop it. And that's what's
to stop concussionable incidents, which is plainly put, it is absurd that you're trying to do that on a game which is built around physical contact.
Yeah.
How do you stop that?
And how can you not have incidents with things like that as well too? It's mind-numbing how those sort of things can happen just on a regular basis, Jdog, on a regular basis. But that's what football's all about. Hey, I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Let us know in the comments.
I have a question though.
Yeah, mate.
Because I'm not full potting Laura Kane and Andrew Dillon. Andrew Dillon? Did I say it right? Yeah, Andrew Dillon.
Yep.
I do think, and I know I'm going to get flamed for this, Peps, but I actually don't mind watching the game of football. I still enjoy it. I think I sort of let those decisions get washed. I get outraged with the bullshit 3 weeks, 4 weeks for this and 1 week for that and missing things like that. But overall, I'm still bloody loving the brand. I'm loving the footy.
I can't complain with the footy. The quality of the football.
Umpiring has always been issues. We get that, but it's not the umpires.
No, the good's really good, but it's just the bad is just there's just no feel for the game anymore. There's no banter between umpires and players. It's so sterile. And that's what I'm loving about Hawthorn at the moment, is that they're playing football like it should be played. Fun, exciting, not just process heavy.
There was one in the Freo game where I think the ball was decided whether it went behind the post or in front of the post, and just there are things like that just annoy people.
Yep.
But overall, I'm saying this season for me has probably been a good solid 9.2 out of 10 as enjoyment.
It has been pretty good. It has been pretty good.
So there you go, AFL. We're not all knocking you. We actually are really enjoying football.
Good things. Hey, they're giving 1,000 tickets, Jdog, for every team in the AFL to go to the grand final this year. An extra 1,000 tickets per team.
So hang on, they're releasing 18,000 extra tickets, or
No,
just 1,000 tickets?
1,000
18 teams.
No. An extra 1,000 tickets per participating team. So there's going to be 16,500 tickets per team to the AFL grand final for members.
Does maths not mathing, Peps? I'm pretty sure the stadium has 101,000 capacity.
Yeah, because you got these things called corporates.
Oh.
Hmm.
So it's a day for fans and obviously grand final to be there with your team to celebrate.
Of course, if you just work for a big conglomerate and you happen to be a supporter of that club, good on you, champ. That's why it is.
1,000. So an extra 1,000 seats, an extra 1,000, 2,000 seats in total for paid up members of the club.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, it's good. Is that enough?
It's crap. That's why the prelim final week is the people's finals week. Go to prelims, mate. They're the best games. Best games because they're just full. I remember going to the goal. I went to Collingwood GWS a number of years ago, and it was one of the best games of football ever. Just almost got punched up because I had a few too many. I was back with GWS behind the.
Sorry,
it's cool.
I've been to one grand final my whole life, right?
Yep.
Not a main team playing. It was a GWS Richmond one. Thank you, John, for taking me that one. It was beautiful. Love the day. Do you know what? I know you say that prelim is the people's grand final.
Yep.
Kind of sucks compared to what an AFL grand final day is.
Oh, you can't compare the pair, but what you can compare is the experience because it's just supporters. It's just supporters.
Okay. I really love the grand final day.
Grand final day is awesome. Like it is awesome. Let's be honest. It is awesome. But when half the crowd, 60%, 70% of the crowd isn't there for those two teams specifically, that's what I mean. When you know the week before, like I went to Carlton and Melbourne last year, Collingwood and Melbourne last year. I've been to prelims. They just because it is supporters. And yeah, mate.
As a supporter,
yep.
Saying you've been to an AFL grand final, does that give you some extra clout? Up until 6 years ago, I had never been to a grand final.
Well, I don't know. What do people think? Like, if you can say I've been to an AFL grand final, I remember there was when Melbourne won their grand final in Perth, I had a couple of barcodes that I sent over to people in Perth. Wazza King, who is part of the Eagles Nation, sent my tickets over to him, and he was wrapped. And they can now say that we've been to a grand final.
What do people think out there in the chat world?
I'd love to know what people think.
Does going to an AFL grand final give you a bit more clout, a bit more upper class than other AFL supporters who hadn't?
So look at me. I've been there. Especially if it's a good one.
Because you've been to quite a few. Being an MCC member.
No. I'm not a full member, so that'll be probably next year. But I've been to a couple. Been to 87 and 88. Been a while.
Oh, you haven't been to one in
not recently.
3 decades.
No. It's almost 4 decades. 87, 88. I went to. Yeah. One because I had to do a lap of honour as part of the Essendon Elastoplast Little League Premiership team. That was in 87.
You played at the Little League halftime game.
Yep.
We won final day.
Yeah, we won. No. The week before at the prelim, where Melbourne lost to Hawthorn when Buckenara ran over the mark.
Yep.
We were there for that one. So we won the grand final the week before. And then at halftime of the reserves, we were presented with the flag or whatever, and we got to do a lap of honour. All dressed as Essendon players. Grouse. We're on a footy card. So like the old Scanlon's footy cards, they made one for the Essendon Little League Premiership team, and I'm on it. It was awesome.
All right, people are screaming at us going, cool story, guys. Move on.
Yeah, move on. Hey, anyway, can I just let you know that we want to talk about people because there's been a survey rolled out for the people, by the people, just on the AFL Fans Association Survey 2024. Some really interesting results to come out of this, Jdog. I know we were having a bit of a chat about this before the show, but it's amazing with everything that's been going on with the game, changes, the feel for it, etc. What fans really how they feel towards it right now, good and bad. So do you want to take us through some of the stuff, some of the key ones there?
Wow. I'm looking at the notes here, Peps, and there's one that I just don't want to touch because it's going to end up in an argument.
All right. Let's just.
No, okay, I'll touch on this one.
All right.
One of them is keep the grand final in the same time slot.
Okay.
83% of spectators who responded to the AFL Fans Association survey said that they want it to remain at the 2:30 start time.
Certainly. Yep. Twilight, 13%. Night 4. You're a twilight guy.
I'm a twilight guy.
I'm a daytime guy. I would happily, if push came to shove, I would be happy to put it to a twilight, but I wouldn't want to go a night. I think twilight's nice.
Night, I'm with you. The Richmond COVID Grand Final.
Yep.
That was hard to sit through.
Yep, that was a long one to get through.
Right. Another one?
Yep. So please select all the issues that concern you as an AFL fan. So umpiring is 56%. Yeah, and I think it's because it's the flavour of the day. Interestingly enough, gambling came in at 52%. So the amount of gambling that we're seeing on our screens, on our phones, anywhere, like just listen to any SEN. I think they're sponsored by like 11 different gaming partners. That's how bad it is. It's just in your face all the time. And affordability, I think the affordability is an interesting one. 50% came in at that one. The AFL have frozen ticket prices for the last number of years, but I think the affordability for other things might be what's causing a bit of a feel for people not to be able to go.
I think that's excellent. The impacts they don't have influence. As you said, they've frozen. You can get to a game of AFL these days, not always the best seats, but being in there for about $20.
25. I think it's 25 plus the ticket, so it's like $28. Like you try and go to any other sport in the US.
Go to the movies.
No, if you're taking a family to the movies, no. That's why I pirate everything because it costs too damn much.
And that's just sitting in a seat in a theater. They're playing the thing over and over again.
And they're the ones I snuck into. It's all the snacks that cost you. And the scheduling, the floating fixture, which I do agree. The fixture, it shouldn't even be called a fixture. It should be called a rigger because it's just some teams, how they're playing their last 9 games in Melbourne or they're traveling once in 11 weeks, those sort of things. It's all over the joint. It's not right. So be it. Another one that came out, and I think this is a massive one. We've spoken about this right at the start of the season with Joel Smith. We talked about the drug policy and a few other things. Do you believe the AFL needs to tighten its illicit drugs policy? Yes, 75%. 25 obviously said no. The next step to that, though, is do you believe the AFL should get rid of its 3-strike policy for illicit drugs? Yes, say 66%. No, say 34%. So more people, so 3/4 of the people said, you know what? We need to get tougher, but don't get rid of the 3. Not all of them go, just maybe keep the 3, but get tougher in some way. I don't know how you can have both.
Oh, I'd say I read that as the opposite way. I read that as in like, you guys need to stop fucking around and get serious on illicit drugs. 75%. Absolutely agree with this one here.
Yep.
AFL should get rid of their 3-strike policy for illicit drugs. I was more looking at it going 60% of the people are saying absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that.
Stop giving these guys an exemption. We always know that there's a celebrity on AFL and a good bloke tax for people who are at a certain social level.
Charlie Cameron.
I read that going, there is 2/3 of the population saying, absolutely, you guys need to pull your heads in. We don't get 3 strikes. Neither should you.
No, I agree. I was listening to something about Singapore. Like there's no graffiti in that area because they get caned for graffiti. Like, I love it. Like I'd go down. You go down the Tullamarine Freeway. You know your side of town, the Torquay Geelong Road. There's just graffiti everywhere. It just makes it look like a ghetto. We're just not tough. We're soft. Hey, here's another one. Would you like to see a send-off rule for players who have conducted violent on-field acts? Yes, 57%. No, 43%. That one surprised me that there are more people saying, you know what, the game, for things that are blatant, send them off. For things that there is no, maybe, it's just like, yes, you've done it.
Yeah.
Send them off. Yeah.
I probably agree with the card or the send off rule. I think back in the 80s, 90s, you only got benched when you had a bad day. Now rotations matter.
Yep.
And to lose a player. Yeah.
Yep. The last one, and this one sort of shocked me a bit. Have you ever felt unsafe at an AFL match? Yes, 19%. No, 81%. The fact that 1 out of 5 people feels unsafe at an AFL game, I thought that'd be lower, Jdog.
Yeah. Yep. I think that, when you look at the cold fact of 81 versus 19, you still like you go, oh, that's not high. But really, when you look at it, that's 1 in 5.
1 in 5 people said, no, I don't feel safe. Now, once again, what is not causing it safe? Is it the people have had a few too many sherbets throughout the day? Is it just the passion? I'd be interested to see, as an extension of that, do they feel safe in the stadium or outside the stadium?
Yeah.
Because it always seems to be that when you've got everybody just migrating outside the stadium at the same time, especially if it's a certain team that's very, very passionate and they might lose, their supporters could get very, very... there's some teams that get fired up more than others, let's be honest. I'm not going to mention names, but you can probably figure out who they are.
Are there more dickheads at the football these days, Peps?
I'm
not saying violent dickheads, but just in general, just more wankers. Because I've sat near some people. I'm like,
calm down.
How are you married and got kids and got a life? Because you are just acting like a spoiled child.
Yeah, I think there's some people who need to have a good hard look at themselves. I don't see it.
Just constantly swearing and yelling out and screaming for the whole 4 quarters.
Yep. I'll tell you what, though, Jdog, it's coming in on the chat right now. Like, some of the things that are coming through. Donna J, great to have her on board. Grand final is the last day of September. It's got to be last Saturday in September, not night, not day, nothing along those lines. There's too many drunk people at the footy. Lee Mack, happy birthday for the other day. He said it's not the D supporters that are the ones who are going to be getting fired up and passionate. Yes, that's probably now that Donna just says there's wankers everywhere. Joe said yes, that there's wankers. Joe Jovanovic, so the husband and wife team are on the chat tonight. And the magnificent Tori is on as well too. And she said, yeah, there's... Oh, quick question came through. How long do you send them off for? I say the rest of the game. If it's a blatant dog act, and I'll give you an example. Here's a perfect example. Going back quite a number of years ago, when Tom Bugg just knocked out Callum Mills. I don't know if you remember that. It was at a night game, and he just turned
back to some names.
But he just turned around and gone, bang, just dropped him.
Yep.
You can even go Barry Hall on Staker. Like, we're talking that type of where a player is out, or they've run through. A Maynard situation was brought up. When you're having these real just dog acts, you can even go as far as like Webster on Simpkin this year at the start of the season in the preseason comp where he got 7 weeks.
Yeah, you got the Brayshaw incident in Freo.
That sort of stuff. I think it's pretty clear cut. Like, it's not at all borderline. He's just gone bang, or he's run through someone and the guy's out. That should be legitimate send off because they're down a player and there's no consequences to the team that's caused it until the Tuesday after that game. Now they'll say that. Yeah. I think there's merit in it. Definitely. I like it. But yeah, there was it was just fascinating to see where people think the game is right now, and there are some concerning stats in there. But here's the one probably the last one that really, really caught my eye. How do you follow games, Jamie?
Yeah.
So
this goes back to our chat we had at the start of the year.
exactly right. So before Foxtel came in, before Optus, before Galaxy Sport came in, you could only go to the footy and literally watch that or league teams at Saturday night league teams. 46% of people go to the game. 23 watch it on TV. Radio 1%, which is understandable. But 30% of people who watch the footy stream it. And this is something that you're brought up quite a bit at the moment.
Yeah.
7 big league. Yep.
Do you know what? I'm actually probably 46% of people still attending a game in this day and age is still pretty remarkable.
Oh, I think it's amazing. But if you look at the rugby league statistics,
the
rugby league, it's a TV sport. That's why they got all that crappy fake advertising left, right, and center on all the stadium, all on the pitches. They've got them on their asses, they've got them on their backs, they've got them on their socks, on their jocks.
NRL love to say that they've got the highest viewer watch across the country for their game and yada yada yada. It's because literally it's almost like the opposite. Like you've got 23% of supporters going to games.
Yep. Or you could just say it's a shit sport, according to Donna.
Hey,
sorry.
What are your thoughts on that one? What are your thoughts?
I think the 46% is a little bit low. I thought it would have been a little bit more than that. But the streaming, it just goes to show that. See, once again, I'd love to see the breakdown of the age groups of what they are as well too. So, was it the people who go, are they old school and the younger people now stream it? Because they very much a convenience-based demographic.
Yeah,
I still listen to the footy on the radio. I think there's nothing better than just sitting in the garage, avoiding doing any homework or housework, having a beverage in the garage and listening to the footy. I think there's nothing better especially if it's not your team. It's great. I love it. Around the ground.
Do you think? So, for example, you and I are in different life stages. I've got 3 young kids, and you've got kids who are in the teenage years.
Yep.
Did you think your viewing habits changed when you were at kids that were under 5 versus where they are now and what you're doing now?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you drop off going to live games and stayed home?
No, I was still playing footy. up until the end of 2012. So my daughter would have been 4. My son would have been 2.
Yeah.
3? Yeah, 3. So there was still a bit of room there. And I was going to the footy a lot more now. But what I will say, though, is kids these days, if there was nothing on the 4 channels on TV, you go out and play or do something completely different. Now, if there's nothing on TV, they can just go and watch. Yep. Exactly. 30 years too long. Exactly right. Hey, I'm just copping it, in it. Unfortunately, I don't have the corporate sponsorship of Lee Mack. I'm still waiting for him to take me to a GF just to spend some quality time with him. It was his birthday the other day. Hey,
same Lee.
Yeah, we're waiting. Even a corporate box, Coke box, whatever, just hook us up. Hey, Joe Jovanovic said, do they play with 17 on the ground when we were talking about having the players sent off? No, they don't. They don't have one person off. They just lose access to that player to play. So what I would do though is you wouldn't be able to activate your sub because your sub isn't subbing that person. They still have to be subbed in. So you technically still would lose a player. You wouldn't play with 17.
No, start from 17.
Pardon? Start from 17 to the end of the quarter. I like that, and then they can bring them on.
That would be interesting. That would leave someone in the back or the front. You'd have to roam. You'd have to drop off to cover. Oh, that would be
17, yeah. See, 17 to the end of the quarter wouldn't be any good because it was towards the end of the quarter. What about if you have a half to the end of the half?
Yeah.
All right, that I can go with to the end of the half. When you have a time frame, so it's got to be 30 minutes.
just like an ice hockey, they just start throwing the puck around, looking for the free man, and then they'll just sling it.
Oh, just go to the penalty box and just like it's a power play. Love it. Hey, I love tonight. Tonight's been just chock full of just discussion-based stuff. You know what I want to talk about before we wrap up this bad boy? It's been a shock. 10-minute sim bin. I like it, Lee Mac. I don't think 10 minutes is long enough, though. I don't think 10 minutes is long enough.
10's half a quarter.
Yeah, but the issue I have with it, though, is the player's not getting on for the rest of the game, so why should they? If it's a deliberate act. I'm talking about a super deliberate.
You could bang some goals with 10 minutes off. You could bang some goals in.
No, not if you're Melbourne. All right. Hey, some cracking games kicking on this week. So one, looking forward to 1 week at a time. Carlton Port this week. Are you going to take them out, Jdog? Are you going to just throw a cat amongst the pigeons and be able to knock them off this weekend?
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, champagne showers everywhere. Could you imagine if North beat Geelong?
Do I go into work on Friday and then just head across for that game?
Why not, Jdog?
I might have a chat to
We'll do it on Friday night. I'm tempted to go. I'm tempted, Jdog. I'm tempted.
Open up the study doors and just be like, Lyra.
Just do that. The Q clash is on. Gold Coast, Brisbane. Could this be the first time Gold Coast lose a game all season? I don't know. Essendon, St Kilda. I reckon that'll be a nice one. St Kilda will be buzzing. Essendon will be like shooting themselves in the foot, knowing that they have to win. And St Kilda will be like, how good it would be. We've had a completely fizzer of a year. How good it would be to knock Essendon out of the hunt for finals. Well, that's what they'll be. Melbourne, GWS. Well, one team's gunning for a top 4 spot. The other one's gunning to just actually keep any chance of playing finals. That's at the MCG Saturday night. I'll be there. Fremantle, West Coast. Like the derbies on. Like they're going to punch the living suitcases out of them, each other. But I think if there's derbies, no red cards. Actually, you can put an extra player on if you knock out an opponent in a derby, like Derek Kickett. Dale Kickett style. Collingwood versus Richmond. Oh, could you imagine if Richmond beat Collingwood? Oh, I would love it. Western Bulldogs, Sydney. Is that a game like the Western Bulldogs? This is what I don't understand, Jdog. Western Bulldogs and Sydney had a cracker of a game a number of weeks ago, and they're already playing each other again.
Yeah.
Where there's teams that we still haven't played for the first time in the last 5 rounds. It's just completely rooted when it comes to that. And then Adelaide versus Hawthorn. Can the Hawks continue their streak against an Adelaide team that were amazing last week? What another cracker. Round 20, 2-0 of the 2024 AFL season. What's getting your creative juices flowing right now, big dog?
What I'm loving is the fact that Geelong are going to have an opportunity to play at a ground that's actually AFL standards, which is outside and also in Hobart at Gladstone Arena, because Saturday night, that ground at GMHBA was an absolute fucking debacle.
And you know what? It looked pretty crappy, didn't it?
Looked ordinary.
No, they had a curtain raiser before that, right?
It looked borderline 90s
good
grounds.
Good. I think the grounds need to have a bit more give in them as well too. That could be leading.
This is professional sport. This is professional sports now.
Have you seen some of the grounds that they play on in the NFL and the rugby when it's snowing? That's the way football should be played. No, that's the way it was played. Jdog.
Give me beautiful grass.
Yeah, anyone can dominate when there's under a roof with a perfect. When it's a bog, you got mud up to your ankles, and your face is caked. They're the ones that stand out, my friend, and I often did. Hey, more importantly, can I say thank you to everybody who's joined on? The chat's gone off tonight. There's been plenty of opinion, and I absolutely love it. I know YouTube's been absolutely going berserko as well too. So everybody who's been on the chat, thank you very, very much. Like I said, we're lace out, and you are the lace outlaws, and without you, we're nothing. So awesome to that. Anything else, Jamie, that you want to quickly go through, bring up before we wrap up this another cracking episode of the number one AFL podcast this side of the Westgate Bridge?
No, I think that's been all, Peps. I've really enjoyed the conversation tonight with you and also the people listening along. So thank you.
Oh no, I did. So this is what we have to do with. Apparently, I did stand out. I stood out of the way when I played Jamie. Don't laugh. Don't give him any credit. All right.
It's
Okay.
pretty funny.
Yeah, it's just don't just. Hey, there's only out of me and him. There's only one person here that broke their arm in the long jump pit, and had another major injury on a trampoline. I'm not saying who it is, but it wasn't me, Lee Mack. Rightio. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great weekend. That is our round 19 review of a massive round of footy. 5 games to go. Who's going to make it? Who's going to fake it? I know Jdog isn't because he's an absolute superstar. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Jdog, my friend, the legend. 7 years we've been doing this. Is how love it. How do you, my friend, want your footy?
I like it. Lace out.
I do too. And everybody else, have a fantastic weekend. I hope your team wins and join me for my tips later on this week.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you later, John. Love you.
John? Who's John? John.
Johnny Sector.